Hey everybody, it's Ian from ukeartswork.info. Hope you're well. And this video is in response to a number of videos I've posted recently myself about visas and immigration temporary work coming into the UK. People are still getting confused about it. So I decided to do two videos. This is one of them. The other video will be about visa nationals. That means you need a visa to come into the UK for any purpose whatsoever. This one is about non-visa nationals. So you do not need a visa normally to visit the UK as a tourist or to do other things. If you are a visa national, click somewhere on this screen is a link to another video. You'll see it anyway. So this one, once again, is for non-visa nationals. And this is what you can do. If you are a non-visa national coming into the UK, there are several routes you can come in. You can come in if you're not being paid at all by any UK institution or entity. You're not being paid by them and you can prove it. You can come in on a normal visitor route. It's not recommended because if you get stopped by immigration, you're going to have to prove you're not being paid by anyone. You'll have letters of invitation, etc., and then you've got to prove somehow a negative. It's not easy. By the way, that would cover both crew and artists. So technical support staff, videographers, sound engineers, lighting engineers, whatever. Not easy, not necessarily recommended, but it's possible. The second way you can come in as a non-visa national, you can come in on the permitted paid engagement visa route, which a visa national would normally be able to apply for online, but you can't as a non-visa national. So how does that work? Well, the deal is, if you come to the point of entry, with all the documentation you would normally need if you were a visa national applying for this visa, that means letters of invitation, contracts, proof you can support yourself whilst you're in the UK. That means bank statements, credit cards to show that you've got enough money, etc., etc., and that you are an artist of international renown. That does not work, of course, mostly for crew. So you'd need all that documentation. You present it to the immigration officer at the desk because you absolutely must get a stamp in your passport saying permitted paid engagement, which allows you to work for 30 days. So you present all your documentation to the immigration officer, male or female, whatever, and they look at that documentation and they make an immediate decision there and then on whether or not you're allowed in. It is totally within their remit and authorization to say yes or no, with no right of appeal. So if they say to you, fine, please come through, all good. If they say, no, we're not letting you in, game over. Turn around, go back. That's the truth. Okay, that's why we don't always recommend it, because it's not particularly easy. And by the way, people often get confused about permit-free festivals and events in the UK. That just means you do not require a permit, a work permit or a visa to go and work there. So if you're only working in a permit-free festival, you can show that to the immigration officer and they will let you come in, fine. But it is only if you're working at that festival or event and nowhere else. You can't come in otherwise on that route. I'll talk more about that on the visa national video in a moment. So far, so good. And what's the third? There is another one I'll speak about in a minute. In fact, I'll do that now. There's the full T5 creative visa, which can last for anywhere from 1 to 2 years or less periods of time. You can have it for 1-2 months, etc. And those are normally done for people who want to spend a lot of time in the UK and you're working regularly. You can apply for a full tier 5 visa, which you would need something called a certificate of sponsorship for from someone like myself, who's a registered UK VI sponsor for many years. But that's only if you really want to be there for a long time. There is one other route, which is the one that most people recommend in my industry to come into the UK. And that is the certificate of sponsorship only route. Now, for all non British citizens now working in the UK. In other words, what passport you hold. It doesn't matter where your residence is. This is often confused. It's about your nationality, citizenship as on your passport. On your passport, not where you live. Okay, you can come through on the certificate of sponsorship route for up to 90 days, and that can be multiple entry. And you get a sponsor, you like myself, you present them all your documents, which is basically passport, where you live, list of dates. They generally check that you're a real artist or crew member, because this route can also be used for crew members, technicians, managers, tour managers, etc. It cannot be used if it's just a driver. That's important to note, it's a different thing. So you can do that on a certificate of sponsorship up to 90 days. Usually the sponsor will look at your gigs and say they start here, they finish here, and they'll cover that period and maybe a little bit beyond. But you have to show that you've actually got the gigs. You can't just do it prospectively, hoping you're going to get a few gigs, and it can't be issued that way. And that's it. The sponsor will issue you with a certificate of sponsorship, and sometimes, like myself, give you a cover letter, etc. And that is all you need, as long as the sponsor confirms your financial status and will support you on their application system. And you don't need anything else. You don't need any bank statements, you don't need any contracts, you don't need any letters. It's simply the certificate of sponsorship and the cover letter. That's it. And by the way, I'm often asked about the 90 and 180 rule for the UK. That is it's the same in that it's the same amount of time, but it's calculated differently in the UK as to how it's calculated in the EU. In the UK, it's seen as a block of time within 360 days. If you're wanting to calculate it going back into the EU, it's always counting back 180 days and seeing how much of that period, your 90-day allowance, you've used. So it drops off the end. There are other videos on all of these. And to say I've tried to put all this in one video, but there are individual videos on the playlist this is part of that show you, that talk in detail about each individual visa route into the UK. Now this is quite a long video, sorry for that, but I wanted to make it clear that this is how it works. And the other thing to say is, please, please, please do not try and enter the UK illegally, as the penalties can be quite severe. If caught working, it's immediate deportation and fines for your promoters, etc. And please fact check everything that you're told by people. The difference with what I do with UK Arts Work, along with my colleagues, is that absolutely everything we tell you is fact checked, and we can send you backlinks to government websites giving you the bottom line. So it's important to know that. Anyway, here you go. If you're interested, do subscribe. Also, there'll be another video, as I said, for visa nationals. That's quite different to this one. Similar, but a little different to this particular video. Thanks for listening. Sorry it was a long one. If you've got any questions, by all means, ping me an email or send me a direct message or comment on this video, and do subscribe. Longest video I've done for ages, so hope it didn't bore you. Take care, all the very best. It's Ian here, midsummer 2022, wishing you all a good summer. And here's to better and more peaceful times ahead for everybody. Bye for now. Ciao.